About the way the offense played in the last preseason game, it was scored a couple touchdowns.
Yeah, I mean, I thought we had some explosive plays. I thought guys did a really good job in certain areas. There's a lot of things we need to work on, but I thought it was a gritty effort. But it was a really good tape to coach off of.
You guys talk a lot about, since you got here, one of the first things you said, everybody said, was about establishing the running game and what Justin could look like with that. The decision to keep 7 receivers, what did you have a sense that you guys were going to do that coming into camp, or did that develop throughout the summer?
No, I think those things just develop organically through camp. I mean, it truly is. Joe says it, Jim says it. We have a meritocracy, and guys that play good, they get the nod. So those guys have been playing good. So, but it's always never change. It's kind of a never changing, always moving type of situation. So it's a day-to-day thing. Every day we're just trying to get better.
Some receivers also too, because of what they can do in special teams and just not offense only.
Yeah, I'd say that's very accurate. Nowadays you have the practice squad too. So if you need help from other positions, you can move them up on game day and elevate a few people. So there's some more roster flexibility than there used to be. In a way, being on the practice squad is way more than it used to be, if that makes sense.
Coach, with that, you have total practice squad and the roster, 14 at running back and wide receiver. Has there been discussions as far as roster construction on making sure to stockpile at those positions, or?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's something that Joe and Jim and there's the personnel and the scouting staff. These guys are constantly talking about how the roster is going to come together, how the team's going to get built, and then what possibilities may lay ahead. In the short term, long term. These guys are playing 5-dimensional chess when it comes to that. So there's a lot of thought put into it, and it's an exciting time of year, for everybody. Everybody that was here today in meetings on the field. It's a start of the regular season, so everybody's very excited.
With J.K. and Gus not playing in the preseason, do you have a true picture of how this running game is going to develop, or mainly from what you've seen in terms of the blocking and everything, you've got a clearer picture?
I'll be fully transparent here. I never have an idea what it's going to look like until I see it during the season and I see it evolve during the season. Very often it's a process during the season, and so you never quite know. I never have exactly what it's going to look like. You think you have an idea, but what I've learned over the years is that I thought I had an idea, but I really didn't. So let's take that approach, and then we got to be ready to adjust and move as the season moves on. Does that make sense?
Okay. So what types of things are you kind of looking for as the preseason goes on? Maybe it's not a full picture, this is what's going to be, but these are the things I'm kind of looking for to make sure we're on the right track.
Yeah, I mean, you're looking at everything. You're turning over every stone, but it's really more of a piece-by-piece, player-by-player evaluation than it is a full-scale scheme type of thing. So you're really looking at everything. But again, in the preseason and that team-building training camp time, it's really more component by component, position by position, and then you start to get an idea of what the different possibilities are.
The excitement for the regular season, week 1. You obviously know Jim for a long time. Not that he's never not locked in, but have you seen a difference from him as we get closer to week 1? Like he's kind of maybe flipped a switch or anything?
No, I mean, Jim flipped the switch many years ago, and it stayed flipped. It's stuck. He's going all the time, and that's one of the reasons he's been so great over the years. So I really don't notice much difference. He's on all the time, and that's Jim. One of the reasons we love him.
Can you talk about just the decision not to retain a third quarterback for in the practice squad and only keeping 2 at the position?
Yeah, I mean it's always a discussion, a long discussion, just the way other things, everything's kind of dependent on other pieces as well. There's trickle-down effects. So I definitely think that, as well, talked about quite a bit. And, and you know, a lot of different things were discussed. So as they always are, but.
Still happening this week. Is there any discussion on maybe bringing someone else in or a competition just to keep that there for a third spot?
I mean, I think that's the truth at every position, really.
For a first-year staff, how advantageous is this week 0, especially, and my apologies for keep bringing this up, compared to 2011 in Frisco with the lockout and everything, where
Yeah.
I think even you admitted it wasn't till like week 4 or week 5 that you really knew what you had.
Oh, that's a fact. Yeah, it's very different. I think it's a very advantageous week for everybody. I think it's really well done, really well scheduled, really well thought out. But yeah, it's definitely an advantage. But again, when you go into the season, it's always an evolution process. You know, the regular season games are a different level of preparation, different level of game plan, et cetera, et cetera. So it really ramps up a lot. And then every week you're adjusting, moving, and evolving. So that lockout year, though, was it was unique. It was very unique. And it was week 5 or 6 really where we could start functioning at a reasonable level, but we were doing enough things to get by. So.
Yes, how much more comfortable are you with the first-year staff now compared to then?
I'm sorry?
How much, being on a first-year staff with everybody, how comfortable are you now going into an opener maybe compared to then?
Yeah, I mean, I think the more you do it, the more you get experience, and you can draw on that experience. But you never get comfortable in this thing. Every year, every week really, it's a brand new start. So we got a lot of work ahead of us, and we're really excited about it.
What about you guys? Have been with Jim for a while now. Like, what about his style makes him so liked by players?
I mean, it's very genuine. A lot of expertise in every area. He's a good person, a human being that you can trust and have a good relationship with. All the good things, you know. I mean, he's got a full list of them, you know. Straightforward, knowledgeable, hardworking, relentless, competitive, all that stuff.
With him being a former player, how much does that benefit him being a head coach now?
Oh, I think it's definitely a big help. I think, he's seen it from all angles. He's seen everything. He's seen every aspect of several football organizations from the ground up, training room, locker room, cafeteria, scout team, whatever it might be, So he's got a great perspective.
With this week, how much of it is looking ahead, game planning to week 1, but are you also maybe starting to put stuff in for week 2 and week 3, kind of looking ahead?
Yeah, I think we've been doing that a little bit towards the end of training camp, and working on some of that stuff. But you really start to narrow down your focus for the week 1 game this week. We've been doing some of the other stuff, the last couple weeks, if that makes sense. But now it's time to dial in on the opener.
Worry at all about with J.K. and Gus, that backfield? I know you've had them before in similar backfields where you do the kind of shared split. Mm-hmm. There's no guy that I'm naming. Do you worry about guys getting frustrated or with the workload?
No, absolutely not. These guys are all about the team. Those guys have worked together. They have a great relationship. They always have, and they still do. I was standing on the practice field yesterday just watching them talk with each other. I didn't want them to see me looking, but I was just watching them, and I was thinking in my head, man, these guys are such a team. These guys work so well together. They complement each other so well.
In your wildest dreams, could you have imagined at the start of free agency getting both of them?
Never. No, that's so rare. And both of them have had such productive careers to this point. When you really look at the production J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards have put out there, it's pretty amazing. At the running back position. I mean, their names, some of the things they've done are up there with Hall of Fame players.
Sticking with running backs, the team added Hassan Haskins. What stood out about him to make that move?
Well, I mean, I think Jim's very familiar with him. I think he's very highly regarded in the league, not only on offense but on special teams. Just a very, very valuable player.
Have there already been discussions as far as how to incorporate him in the running back room and then in offense as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think that'll transpire, at some point, just like any player that comes in. They get in, they got to learn the system, learn the playbook, all that stuff. It's a full sprint. The coaches, the players, it's just a full sprint for everybody to get them caught up. So, to put the cart in front of the horse, you really can't do it until we get into it, get with them and get going.